All right, welcome to DCT.
Episode 11. Ben, what bear is the scariest?
Gotta go polar.
No, you never see a polar bear.
You didn't ask the frequency of when you see bears. You asked which one was the scariest.
Are you scared of sharks or coconuts?
A little bit of both.
Coconuts kill more people than sharks.
Yeah.
And you know what kills more people than coconuts?
Obesity?
Sharks with coconuts. All right. Let's get started. A little bit of playoff recap.
Yes.
First round is done for the NBA and the NHL.
Yeah.
We made our picks. We had a bracket challenge going on. It's going to continue until the end of the playoffs. It was a tight first round.
It was.
I mean, you had some great, really good picks.
And then some not
And
so
then
good
you
ones.
also had no ball knowledge whatsoever.
It's okay. You were only 1 point off me, so you're essentially the same thing.
A little bit better. Do you want to go through your first? Your West Coast first?
Yeah, I can go through mine.
For the NBA? Let's go.
So for the West, for the first one, I picked OKC versus Memphis. I picked OKC to win in 5 games, but they won in 4. That series was not close at all. I don't even know why I picked 5 games. I knew I should have picked 4, but I really thought...
But there's always a chance that a team steals.
I thought
sweeps
Ja...
are so rare.
I thought Ja would get at least one
Yep.
against OKC, but they won the first game by 51 points and just didn't look back. They won game 3, I think it was, by 8 points, which was the smallest...
win margin that they had.
Second
that
smallest
series.
win margin, and they were up by 26 at half. So that was not a close series at all.
And
now
the Rockets versus the Warriors.
Yeah. On the other hand, Rockets versus Warriors went 7, and after that 6th game in Golden State, I really thought
you were a little nervous.
I thought
the Rockets might pull it out.
I thought they might do it in Houston, but then Buddy Hield happened, which
is
didn't
hilarious.
hilarious.
That on my bingo card.
No, I did not, but it'll be interesting to see them in the next round. And then Lakers Wolves.
You want to blow past this one as fast as you
I don't
can.
even want to talk about the series.
We're going to.
I picked the Lakers in 6. It went 5. It was not the Lakers that won in 5. It was the Timberwolves. Anthony Edwards was great this series. But you know what I really didn't have on my bingo card? The entire reason why I didn't pick the Timberwolves to start out with was because I didn't think that Anthony Edwards' supporting cast was good enough to get them past LeBron and Luka. The supporting cast was the only reason they got past LeBron and Luka.
Well, we had even spoke to it last episode about how Anthony really helped out and really kind of sacrificed his stats and brought up the team.
I didn't see Julius Randle having 23 point, 25 point, 22 points, 27 points. And then in the last game, I think he had 16. But you know who had a great game in the last game?
Tell me.
Rudy Gobert. You know what his stat line was in the last game?
What do you have?
He had 27 points and 24 rebounds. My entire sentence in my prediction was, I don't think Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert are enough to get Anthony Edwards and the Timberwolves past the Lakers.
You were even speaking highly of LeBron.
I was. Yeah.
And I said you think his old age catches up to him.
Yeah. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
Then the last series, the Nuggets versus the Clippers.
Hey, you were, for all intents and purposes, you were right. Game 7 games.
I did say it was going to be extremely close.
It just went
regardless.
to Denver.
In all honesty, I knew I should have picked Denver. I really wanted the Clippers to do well. But, then James Harden happened. Kawhi was okay. Jokic didn't even have a great stat line in his last game. I think he had 16, 10, and 8, or 16, 10, and 10, which is an okay Jokic game. It's still a triple-double.
He was underwhelming, though, for what he is.
Yeah, but you want to hear the last 4 or the last 3 Game 7s for James Harden?
Are these going to be point totals?
These are going to be point totals.
Can we do a quick over-under? I don't think combined it's going to be over 40.
Over 40 points?
Yep.
Well,
what do you got for the first game?
you would be Correct.
Really?
Yes. It's first game, this last game, he had 7 points on 2 for 8 shooting, which I know you're mathematically challenged. That's 25%. Then he had 9 points shooting 3 for 11, which is 27%. Then, game before that, he did have 22 points, but it was on 5 of 17 shooting, which is 29%. And in those 3 games, his 3-point shooting percentage was 22%.
Well, we had talked about Harden and how playoffs aren't his thing. Those are game 7s.
Yeah.
Those are clutch games. He just doesn't have it.
No, he doesn't. But I went with Clips. They didn't do it, so...
But again, it was a great series.
Yeah.
I don't think the Stars ran that series, though. Like, I don't think it was a battle of Kawhi versus...
No, it was role players.
And that's a more exciting series, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, you were very close. You got 2 points out of the West. That's terrible. You're bad. All right. I'll go into my West. Winnipeg versus St. Louis. I had Winnipeg, but I had them in 5.
That's terrible.
That's a rough look. Hellebuck
It went 7?
They went to 7 games, and Winnipeg tied it in the last, I believe it was 1.8 seconds, maybe 2.8 seconds on the clock when they reviewed it. They were down 3-1 for a majority of the game. I think second period it was 2-0. They made it 2-1. St. Louis had a glove shot near the end of the second period, went up 3-1, and Winnipeg was just chasing the entire game. But that was a story of home ice advantage. Every team that had home ice creamed that night. Like they were filling up the net though. Yeah. That made it worse. But it was really interesting because you do have 2 great goaltenders there. Binnington's a proven playoff goalie.
Oh, he did really well.
He was fantastic, and I feel so bad for St. Louis because honestly, I believe they deserved that series after what they had done. But you got to close it out. You can't let in 2 goals in the last 2 minutes. You know, the game's still going. So, playoff Hellebuck is real. He is not great. He looks rough. I think he had 13 goals glove side.
Yeah,
that entire series.
I was gonna say they
were targeting.
They racked it up on him in St. Louis.
He kept going down into the lower butterfly. He looked so scared that they were trying to go 5-hole or far post, and he just left the top left of the net open every single time. And you can tell it was getting in his head. So I got 1 point out of that for getting the right team, but I was pretty far off in the games, and that was close, double overtime. So I'll sneak away with one there. Dallas versus Colorado.
You called this almost exactly what it was.
I said it was going to be a battle of the goalies. It was. I did not expect Blackwood to do that well.
No.
I did not expect Colorado's goaltender to be as fantastic as he was. And he was fantastic. Mm-hmm. He had amazing saves. Not that Ottinger didn't have amazing saves, but Blackwood had more pressure, more sustained pressure, I would say. And he played fantastic. I had it going to 7. It did go to 7. Rantanen, who was on the Avs earlier this year, ends up getting a hat trick to win the game. I mean, you can't write it better than that. Landeskog making a comeback was great, but Dallas takes that series. I honestly think they'll pummel Winnipeg, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But I take 2 points from that. Edmonton versus LA.
This was one that
they were up 2-0, dude. You're up 2-0,
and it ended 4-2.
But you have the best home ice advantage. That's the team with the best home ice record this season. Playoffs are different. I get that, but you're up 2-0. Even when they were up, they almost let Edmonton back into the game every single night.
Yeah.
Kemper played great. The defense wasn't there. So you need that shutdown ability in the playoffs. And if you give a team that has McDavid and Draisaitl hope for a comeback and just open up the scoring, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. It was effortless. McDavid had, I think, a 5-point night. He had a pass. I mean, his shots are just so freaking beautiful. But Edmonton takes that series.
Well, that was game 4, was it, that went into overtime?
Yeah, I believe so.
LA had like 50 shots on goal and just could not connect.
Well, how about Stuart Skinner?
Yeah.
People are talking about how he's the guy, he got you to the Cup final. He did not get you to the Cup final. He was dragged by the skin of his teeth by McDavid and Draisaitl. Yeah. He's not a goaltender that I want taken to the playoffs. They sat him out. I mean, they pulled him and they didn't look back after game 1.
Yeah.
So, or I believe it was game 2. Yeah. But terrible performance from him. Great performance from Kemper, even though he got lit up. I take 0 points from that, and I'm upset. That one made me so mad. I was
You texted me when they went 2-0 up, and you were like, I look great right now.
I did that with Winnipeg, too. I was like, no way. St. Louis is nothing. Vegas versus Minnesota. That's another series that I read wrong.
You were scared.
Well, I had Vegas
We were both
creaming
scared.
him. I had Vegas creaming him. Aiden Hill was letting in soft goals.
Yeah.
I mean, those first few games, they were slipping by him. He looked uncomfortable in net. His positioning looked off. So that was weird, but they went in 6. Way more games than I thought it was going to go to. Yeah. Minnesota didn't look bad.
Because you originally said 4, right?
That was my one sweep. I had Vegas sweeping Minnesota.
Brutal.
But it's sad to see Fleury go out that way, if you like Fleury. I don't. But Vegas takes it. I get 1 point from that. So I'm at a total of 5 points.
5 points to 2. Nice. So we did... Well...
I'm at 4 points.
Oh, wow.
I did the math wrong. So I'm at 4 points in the West, and Ben's at 2.
You're doing great, buddy. Do we want to switch over to NBA? So
let's go to the East in the NBA.
All right. First series, Cleveland versus Miami. This was a literal historic beatdown. Cleveland beat Miami. The game totals were Cleveland won by 21. And then they won by 9, which was the only single-digit win in the whole series. Then they proceeded to beat them by 37 points and 55 points in games 3 and 4. It's, I believe, the largest
playoff
win margin in NBA history, which is incredible because originally I had the Bulls in this series going up against the Cavs.
And I think you still picked...
And I did pick a 4-0 sweep, but the fact that Miami beat the Bulls, I don't even want to know what Cleveland would have done to Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's... I bet they're happy that they weren't there.
Yeah.
After seeing how it went. Because there's certain teams that get to the playoffs and know this is just a formality. Yeah. It's great for the fans, but...
Yeah. But, so I called that one.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
2 points.
Still 2 points, man. And that was a good call.
Yeah. Boston-Orlando, that series was a lot closer than that series record indicates. There was a lot of moments in that series when I was watching it toward the end of the game, and I was nervous for Boston. And at the end of the day, Paolo, great player, probably playing top 5 in the Eastern Conference playoffs at this moment, or was at this moment, but Tatum's better.
Yeah.
You got a guy, he's averaging 31, 11, and 5 against them. He didn't play in a game because he had I believe it was a bone contusion, which Orlando was beating the crap out of Boston.
Well, they sent a few of your guys to the doctor, no?
Yeah, Porzingis got slammed in the forehead, started bleeding. They messed with Jalen's knee, hit it at one point. They obviously gave Tatum the contusion. Drew Holiday was out for 3 games of that series, which was a big difference. I think if he plays, we win in 4, but really close, much closer than that 4-1 record indicates. But so I got 1 point.
You snag a point.
1 point, not bad.
This was ridiculous.
I got the Knicks.
You used dark magic.
We'll talk about a certain prediction later on in the episode, but Knicks Pistons, 2 points from that.
Because you had him in 6.
4-2, baby. Yes, I had him in 6. Now, this was actually...
That was closer than what...
The closest series in the entire playoffs so far.
It reflects.
The win totals so far have been were 9, 6, 2, 1, 3, and 3.
Detroit is a bright future, man.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see what their prospects look like. Jalen Duren was great. Could have been a little better, I think, in terms of offensive game.
Yeah.
But played just as well as I was expecting him to. You know who I feel bad for is Oscar Thompson. Great player. Played great defense the entire series. Was known as being the guy that was guarding Jalen Brunson.
Yep.
And played amazing defense on him the entire series. The Knicks won Game 6 because Jalen Brunson hit a crossover 3 on him. and I felt so bad for him because he loses his balance, and that series over for him.
But, you can't put all that on one player, and one play doesn't decide a series. But,
No, yeah. But
like you said, that was really close. And I think it's great experience for those younger Detroit players
oh, yeah.
to get in the postseason.
This early in that team's life,
Yeah.
and they're bringing the New York Knicks to 6 games in the first round. Pretty impressive. So that was my only, one of my only 2 points. And then there was the last series.
You cleaned up in the East.
Yeah. Yeah, no, 5 points out of the East. Yeah, better than your
All right. Anyways.
both of your conferences. But I got to bring myself down a peg here.
The Bucks.
That series was not close. It was bad.
That series didn't feel real. The way it ended
Yeah.
with the fights and everything, it was just getting a little
You had Tyrese Halliburton's dad getting into it with
Giannis's
Giannis.
face.
That was
He's banned.
yeah.
They
Now he's,
banned him.
Yeah.
I think that's a little.
I mean,
Really,
he-
I think that's an excessive ban.
for this playoffs.
Yeah. They said
I don't-
indefinitely. They banned the father indefinitely.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
thought it was just for this playoff.
I thought it was indefinitely. I could be wrong. But that's your best player's dad.
Yeah. Well, maybe you shouldn't be running onto the court and yelling at this other.
Well, you're running onto
opponent.
the court to celebrate.
And you stop, turn around, and walk up to the opposing team's star player and start talking crap to him.
What are you, a lawyer, Ben?
No, I just think that's really
I
unprofessional.
think it's classless, but I don't think you get banned for that. I think you get separated.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have differing opinions.
We
on
do.
it. But yeah, that was not close. And Giannis did everything he could. 33 points, 15 rebounds, 7 assists in the series. You can't do much more than that. You had guys that are playing starter minutes in that series, and they're averaging 6 points, 5 points, 14 points, and 11 points. Bobby Portis was at 14 points, and I think their second leading scorer was Gary Trent Jr. at 19. Other than that, he had zero help.
I mean, you can't do it by yourself.
No. And
It's got to be by committee.
I think it would have been a different series had Dame been playing and Dame been healthy.
Yeah, that's a shame.
But it just sucks. But, oh well, 0 points from that one.
Yeah, but
So,
5 points from the East.
Yeah,
That really brought you up.
7 points.
Yeah, looking good.
You want to talk about
Now
your...
let's talk about who's looking better. All right, in the East for the NHL, we had Toronto versus Ottawa.
Yeah,
I was high on Toronto.
you were.
And then I got terrified. And then they lost 2 games in a row. They were up 3-0, lost 2. It started to remind me of Montreal when Toronto was up 3-0 and then they lost
Yeah.
a reverse sweep.
We thought that it was going to happen again.
I thought it was going to happen. They have so much going on in their heads, honestly, those players, and just the way the media.
I mean, that's got to be a psychological game at that point.
Every series. It happens every series for them. And it's honestly, if I'm the coach, I'm exhausted of it. I want to get rid of those players who have that mindset. I don't know what players do, but any of them that do that are in the core 4, I would ship out.
Really?
But they do get past Ottawa. I don't think it was as pretty as they wanted it to be. They get past them in 6 games. I think I had them in 5. So
Yeah.
I was 1 game off. So I get 1 point from that. Happy with that. The Florida versus Tampa made me want to drive down to Florida myself and order a hurricane. That was the most upsetting series for me because Tampa, I feel like they lied down.
Oh, yeah.
They didn't get to play their game of hockey at all. Florida had them on their toes the entire time. They got goalied with Bobrovsky, but you have Vasilevsky.
Yeah.
So I don't like it when they're like, well, it was just better goaltending. Now, you have one of the best goaltenders to ever do it on your team. Their defense was atrocious. There was one time, I believe it was Reinhardt going down the slot. The defender doesn't take the pass, but he also doesn't cover the puck carrier. He just stands in the middle stagnant.
Yeah.
You're not helping Vasilevsky at all.
No.
All you've done is become a pylon. So disappointing defense. The back check was bad. Multiple times I saw them trailing McDonough. And I understand, when you're down in a series and in a game, you're taking risks. You're leaving your defense in the offensive zone a little bit longer. You're pinching. But you got to get back.
Yeah.
And it just didn't seem like they had it. They had some cheap hits on Barkov and stuff. They didn't look like themselves. That was disappointing. They lose. Didn't even get to 6 games. So,
But I really just think that's just Florida showing its championship pedigree.
well, we had said they had a bad end of the season.
They did, yeah.
And I wasn't happy with who they acquired in Seth Jones.
Yeah.
But you look at how they won, and to your point, championship pedigree, you have depth scoring. Nate Schmidt gets 3 goals in 2 games. And as a Caps fan, I love Nate Schmidt. You know, he was a big piece of us in 2017. We did lose to the Penguins.
Yeah.
But then he was on the Vegas team that we beat in the Stanley Cup final. So he's a great defenseman. He had a little stint in
Double
Winnipeg,
agent.
but that was a win by committee. Florida deserves it for sure.
Yeah.
But I'm worried for Cooper,
Yeah.
the Tampa head coach, because I don't know if they're still satisfied with him. He's a great coach, but sometimes at some point you lose a locker room.
Yeah.
At what point do you need to move on? And I'm not the biggest fan of how that series went.
No.
But Carolina versus New Jersey, I think I had him in 5 games. I think it went 6.
Yeah.
Or no, actually, I'm so sorry. I think I had him in 6 games, but it only went 5.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Double overtime win for Carolina. They look great.
Yeah.
But you're playing a Jersey team without Jack Hughes. They should have won.
It's different.
Markstrom played phenomenally for Jersey. Great goaltending performance, but it's not enough. Carolina, time and time again this season, had the most shots on goal out of any team. You know, you got to find a way to get the puck out of your zone and hem it up in the neutral zone, and New Jersey couldn't do that. So Carolina takes that. I take 1 point. Washington Capitals versus Le Habitant. That was amazing.
That was
That was a great series by Montreal.
Oh yeah.
I was disappointed in the Caps.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to lose multiple times throughout that series.
I got very nervous, and I think it was game 3 when Logan went down.
Yeah, when Logan Thompson got hurt, I was like, all right. Because I don't have a lot of faith in Chucky.
No.
You know that.
Yeah.
But that was a gut performance by the Caps. And
Yeah.
again, it was swayed by a hit by Tom Wilson. And Montreal was a smaller team. You got to attack them physically. I said the best way to get to the young, inexperienced guys is just forecheck and hit them hard. They won't know how to deal with it, and they can't respond.
Yeah,
They don't
no.
have players that can up their physical. You know, you have Josh Anderson, who, my God, that guy did everything he could that series to make it interesting, and they
Yeah.
did. But on top of that, it was rough for them. You know, you lose Montembeault, their goaltender, you know, their starter early on in the series, and he was phenomenal,
Yeah.
unreal.
He was great.
But Dobesh comes in and he was just as good. But that was a gutty performance by the Caps, who I think definitely are disappointed in their performance, and they will need to step it up if they want a chance against Carolina. But I said Caps in 5. It was Caps in 5. I'll take my 2 points, and we'll move on.
Yeah.
Pretty good bracket. I got 8. You're at 7.
Yeah.
There's room for change. That's close, man. We did pretty good. We
Yeah.
got good knowledge up there.
I mean,
My puck knowledge is better than your ball knowledge.
I really am just disappointed by the fact that the difference in our point system was me having a little bit more faith in Ja Morant, which is
And James Harden. All right.
I don't even.
But let's talk about the Caps. They did really well.
Yeah,
They had some great moments.
I think they did exactly what we said they needed to in terms of they laid out some hits during that series that really just changed the mentality of Montreal.
Yeah.
That Tom Wilson hit, after that, I mean, like you said, it changed the course of the game. 4 unanswered goals after that, right?
Yeah.
So
The hit on Carrier.
yeah.
So the physical was definitely the biggest part of that series.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm disappointed in your breakout, which is hurting right now because you don't have Faravari.
yeah.
You know, so you are missing pieces. You know, Protas didn't come in until I think game 4. So he's not 100%, but he still looked great coming back. I mean, unreal for a lacerated injury on his, I believe, his lower leg. So I'm excited for the Caps, but they need to step it up because this Carolina team isn't going to give them a break like Montreal did. And again, the Caps' biggest problem was holding down a lead, which LA showed you. If you can't hold down a lead, there are teams that will take advantage of that and just knock you out. They won't think twice. You know, they're not just because you're up by multiple goals, they're not going to stop playing the game. So I'm worried for how they handle Carolina's offensive power because they also have a great defense. So you got to find a way to penetrate it. And with Montreal, they had a defense that was easier to crash on.
Yeah.
You know, easier to manipulate into your cycle and playing your game. But it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. For round 2, you want to go through our picks?
Yeah, let's do it. Do you want to go through NHL first?
Let's do NBA.
All right.
You want to do the East?
Yeah, we'll do East first. Cavs Pacers. That's going to be a great series.
I'm going to watch that.
Yeah. Now, obviously, at this time of recording, they've already played game 1, and the Pacers did win.
They did.
And they did it in Cleveland, which is even more impressive. I'm expecting this series to be long and drawn out, but the fact that they were able to get a game 1 win, Tyrese Halliburton looks like he's just carrying his play in Milwaukee into Cleveland. So I think it's going to be a great series. However, I just think the guard play of Cleveland is going to be too much for Indiana. Indiana's entire strength is their team depth. They have guys coming off the bench that are just as good as their starters.
Yeah.
But for Cleveland, you've got a Darius Garland and a Donovan Mitchell both playing in that point guard and shooting guard spot. Those two combined are going to be better than any guard combo that Indiana has to throw at them. And then you've got Jared Allen and Evan Mobley locking down the rim. They're not going to be able to score anything. Pascal Siakam will probably be neutralized, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, now that I say that, he's probably going to average 30 and 15. But I think that this series is going to be close. Each game is going to be very close. I do have the Cavs winning in 6.
I think they need time to heat up. They just swept a Miami team.
Yeah.
They're not playing the team.
No.
So I think they heat up and they get rolling.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there. Celtics, Knicks. I personally think that this series has the potential to be semi like an Orlando series where each game is close. But I do think...
I know you want Boston, but do you think Boston?
Oh, 100%. They went 4-0 against them in the regular season.
That's different. It doesn't count. It means nothing.
It kind of does in terms
means
of seeding.
nothing.
Regular season games don't count in the playoff?
No, I don't take them for anything. I don't give them any worth.
Okay, so the fact that the New York Knicks against Cleveland, OKC, and Boston went 1-11 doesn't mean anything.
Now I think they're winning the championship just to prove you wrong.
No, I
take your Boston. How many games?
5.
Boston in 5?
Boston in 5. I think each game has the potential to be close. I think the wing combo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, I don't think the Knicks really have much to throw at them in terms of that. And then, for whatever reason, Kristaps Porzingis turns into Dirk Nowitzki every time he plays New York.
Yeah.
I think he just loves the Garden.
He might.
We'll see.
It's a fun arena.
Yeah. But that's my Eastern Conference. What about your NHL picks for East?
Mine are mean.
Mean?
Yeah. I feel bad. I got Toronto and Florida. I'm taking Florida in 5. You look at the goaltending situation in Toronto. It's been better. It's been way better than it has been in the past.
Yeah.
But to go back on what I just said, Stolars doesn't do well against Florida in the regular season. So I am going to take Florida. I'm going to take them in 5. If they did that to Tampa, I see no reason why they don't do that to Toronto. Except
I thought you were really high on Toronto, though.
I was really high on Toronto, but I was also high on Tampa.
And then Ottawa won 2 games in a row.
Yeah, so I don't see them doing it. I see Florida going back. I got them in 5.
5.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Now, Carolina, Washington. I want Washington.
I'm interested to see who you're going to pick.
But sometimes you think you have to pick the other team. But if you were to do that, you'd be a fake fan and a loser. So I'm going Caps in 5.
5?
Look, Ben, let me just tell you something. Okay? Tom Wilson. That's all I need. I got Cap. No, I'll do 6. I honestly think Caps in 6.
I think 6 is a little more reasonable.
But I do see it going to 7 in my head.
Okay.
But I think if Carolina gets Anderson back, we play better against him. I'm not high on Carolina's defensive part of the game.
Yeah.
They have one of the best shutdown defensemen in the league in Slavin. He's unreal. He showed that at the Four Nations face-off. But other than that, I think we can do it. I think it's going to be an all-out war. I think it's going to be super physical, a lot of fights. I think it's going to be a game within a game. This regular season, you had a lot with McMichael and Chatfield, Wilson, and the entire team. So
it's not going to be the same as the Montreal series because
no, Carolina can punch back.
Exactly.
So
we beat up on the Canadians, but Carolina's a different team.
They are.
They're going to smack us right back if we smack them.
Yeah, and their coach is not a gentleman who doesn't like that style of hockey.
Yeah.
You know, Brenda Moore really encourages that, gets his team going, but I'm going to go Washington in 6.
Okay. All right. I like it. Should we go over to the West now?
Yes.
All right. These are in the NBA. I don't know about NHL, but these are two series that I am struggling to call.
Yeah.
Let's start out Thunder Nuggets. That,
man, I want to go to Golden State, but let's go.
No, we'll start off with OKC. They went 2-2 against each other in the regular season. I'm gonna say Thunder in 7.
Really?
Yes. I think it goes a full 7 games because I think this is going to be an incredibly close series. You've got Jokic. You've got OKC. But I just think the depth of OKC. Of course, I said that with LA as well. But OKC's different. So. OKC's depth is young. I think that if Denver does win this series, it's going to be based off of their 7 guys playing 40 minutes a game. Like, they're not going to have OKC style of play.
No, and that's hard to do in a 7-game series.
Yeah. And they're not going to have an OKC style of play where they have 10 guys playing at least 15 minutes a game. They've just got bodies that they can throw at you. And they're going to have a lot of difficulty matching up against a Chet Holmgren, who's a great defender, matching up against Shea, who is, in terms of guards, one of the best for defense. It's going to be close. I could see it going either way, but I am going to take Thunder. I think they've just played much better this year, obviously, as a 60-something win team. So, now, the other series. Golden State versus Minnesota. I've gone back and forth.
This is a brutal pick for you.
I've gone back and forth about it. And honestly, the West just in general, I could see either series going either way. I could see the Thunder winning in 6. I could see the Nuggets winning in 5. It's just a cluster.
It's a lot of parity.
But I just think the size and versatility of the Minnesota Timberwolves is going to be too much for Golden State. And I know Golden State just beat a 2-seed Houston Rockets, but the Timberwolves dispatched the Lakers like they were nothing. My whole thing, like I said earlier, was the Timberwolves center power forward duo of Randall and Gobert are not going to be enough to beat the Lakers. I think they're going to be the key in this series. I don't think the Warriors have the size to match up with a Rudy Gobert or a Julius Randle. But on the other hand, I think that if the Warriors go small ball the whole series, they have a very good chance of winning it as well. So I think if the Warriors constantly switch off,
force a big man to be mobile, it's going to be difficult.
Yeah, but I'm going to go Minnesota in 6.
Minnesota in 6.
Minnesota in 6.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Would you have had the Lakers beating Golden State if they had made it through?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, for the West in the NHL, I got Winnipeg versus Dallas.
Okay.
Dallas in 6. I think Winnipeg does better this series. I really do. Than they did against St. Louis. I think they turn it on because they have to.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm taking Dallas in 6. You got a better goaltender, Nottinger. I trust their defense far more. They're a bigger team. The way they handled Colorado, who I would have said is the best team in the West, it is impressive. So you have a coach in DeBoer who knows what he's doing. I think they only get better with Sagan getting more into it, Duchesne and them finally getting their chemistry back. Wyatt Johnston's looked fantastic. He had the game-winning goal.
You think it goes 6 games?
I do.
I'm tempted to go 5.
No. Because Because there were games against Colorado where Dallas had a hard time scoring.
Yeah.
And Blackwood played phenomenally. I think Hellebuck has it in him to play at least 2 phenomenal games.
I don't think he does.
I do. I really do. I think he gets past this series and just says, all right, look into the future. I can play better. I know I'm going to play better. And he does. So I think it goes to 6. Now, Edmonton versus Vegas, I got Vegas in 7. I think that goes the distance. The play style is different on both teams. It's always fun to see a team with Eichel go up against a team with McDavid. Mm-hmm. Aiden Hills looked really rocky for me.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason why I think it goes 7. Because McDavid can torch a goalie like that, who I don't think's been playing well.
No.
But their defense is so superior to Edmonton. Edmonton doesn't have good defense. And they don't have great goaltending. They do now. Comrie's been unreal for them coming in. But I don't know how long that lasts.
Yeah.
Sometimes when a goalie gets hot, it can continue to go on. But I got Vegas in 7. Those are my picks.
All right. Do we want to do a quick recap of everything?
Yeah. So you have Cleveland in 6. You have the Celtics winning in 5.
Yep.
I have Washington in 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I have Florida in 5.
Yes.
You have Minnesota in 6.
Yep.
And then you have OKC in 7.
Yeah.
That one is going to be the hardest.
That one, yeah. Honestly, for all of these, I'm confident in who wins the series. I'm not confident whatsoever in how many games it goes.
Yeah, me either. I have no faith in my game total.
Yeah.
Like, I have Dallas in 6 and Vegas in 7 to end it out.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Vegas sweeping them, as funny as that sounds.
You don't see Edmonton?
Here's the thing. You keep McDavid off the board, you don't have a team.
Yeah.
Draisaitl's great.
That's quite the task in and of itself.
It is, but LA did it a few times.
Yeah.
Where they kind of kept him away. But if he gets a sniff at it, and if he continues to hustle, which he does, and if he gets going, it's hard to put out that fire.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a good second round. And it was a great first round. I think that was one of the best first rounds of hockey I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
So, and there were great matchups. So many rivalries. So it was fantastic. I almost wish a lot of those series were second round series.
100%. The entire time I was watching that Clippers-Nuggets series.
Oh, I know. That was a waste in the first round.
I know it was 5-4, like in terms of seeding, but you had your Aaron Gordon game winner. You had the first overtime game, and then that blowout in Game 7. You had everything you wanted in that series.
You had everything you wanted. Speaking of having everything you wanted,
yeah,
let's talk about gambling. Last episode, we had a gambling segment.
Are you sure you want to talk about this?
I do.
Okay.
I want to get it over with.
All right.
Me and Ben both made 2 bets for each of our respective sports on separate days. It was Tuesday through Friday.
Yep.
Hey, I'm proud of my picks.
I'm sure you are.
I am. Because guess what? I had Nick Paul.
Going 0-2 is really hard.
I had Nick Paul getting a hat trick for Tampa Bay in Game 6.
Yeah. How many goals did he have?
Well, Game 6 didn't happen. Because Tampa lost in 5. But he just did have a goal in Game 5.
Quick question.
He was heating up for Game 6.
Quick question.
Yeah.
When we discussed this before, and I said, hey, they're playing Game 5 tonight, and there's a possibility there's not a Game 6. What did you say?
So my second bet, I had Pierre-Luc Dubois.
Yeah.
In Game 5 for the Caps, getting 2 goals and an assist.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't so much of a guarantee as much as if it was a prayer.
He got the assist.
He got my apple. He did not get 2 goals.
No.
I think it's because he likes to share. He's a giver.
Yeah.
He wants to make sure everyone
gets... He's the ultimate teammate.
He's Santa. So, I was disappointed in his series. I think he's got to play better if the Caps want a chance.
Yeah.
But hey, both my guys do end up getting points. Not in the right amount or correct game.
It doesn't help your bet whatsoever.
I am still happy.
But they played well.
Now,
Congrats.
Your bets.
It's like a consolation prize.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Used to getting those.
Now, I, on the other hand...
Look at that confidence.
I did go 1-2.
You did.
So, first bet was the James Harden getting 15 assists. That did not happen. Now, in the game that I was talking about, it was Game 6. And in that game, James Harden had a pretty good game. He had like 27, 8, and 5, I think it was.
Yeah.
8 assists, Definitely not 15.
No. Next game he had
13, but then he had double the amount of assists as he had points, so that didn't help them at all.
And 13's not 15.
Yeah.
God, my intelligence is improving.
Dude, your math, I think I'm the reason why it's improving.
Uh-huh.
Now my other one, I said Tim Hardaway Jr. getting under 10 points.
You only did that so it went to 6 games, you bastard. That's the only reason.
It worked.
It did.
Now, you said it, and it didn't get to 6 games. So,
well, that's because mine was a positive.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But yeah, you got that bet right.
He had 8 points, and he shot 2 for 10.
Now, if I recall,
Yeah.
we had discussed that this bet wager was worth a playoff bracket point.
It was. And you know what that means?
We are now tied at 8-8.
That 7 goes up to an 8.
We are tied in the first round of playoff bracket history for DCT.
Who would have thunk it?
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Mine's based off of me knowing my sport.
Yeah.
Yours is based off you wishing bad on a professional player who's trying to feed his family.
No, the way I look at it is that you have puck knowledge. You know what you're talking about. I have just a slight bit less ball
You had
knowledge.
way more zeros than I did. And by way more, I mean 1.
Yeah, that's a lot more zeros. But I have slightly less ball knowledge, but am fantastic at betting. And in the end, who's going to make more money doing that? So
I have no argument for that.
yeah.
You ready for the question, the hot shot?
Yeah.
Instead of hot shot, we're going to be doing a wager, another playoff point.
Another playoff point.
These questions are going to be DC oriented,
Yeah.
like last episode. Do you want to go first?
I want you to go first. I go first a lot, I feel like.
You do. DC oriented, Ben. Oh, God. In the movie Die Hard 2.
Dude, what is your fascination with a movie set in Washington, D.C.? I want actual D.C. trivia, not movie trivia.
John McClane saved the day in what DMV airport? This is a 2-parter, by the way. That's part 1.
I've never seen Die Hard 2.
Well, that's going to be difficult. I'll give you multiple choice.
Dulles?
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
That's very upsetting. That is correct. Yes, it did take place in Dulles Airport.
Okay.
Now, second question. The secondary villain, because there were 2.
Obviously.
The Special Forces officer was what rank? Sergeant, Colonel, Captain, or Major?
Major.
Is that your final answer?
Yeah.
This is the dumbest game in the world, and I hate you.
Did I win?
Yeah, you have no ball knowledge, though. You just get questions right and eat food. I got mad.
I feel like you're upset about
Hit
that.
me with what you got. What's
All right,
my
now mine is
DC-oriented
actually
question?
DC oriented. It's not.
That's Dulles.
It's not just movie
Which
trivia.
is in Virginia.
All right. Now I'm assuming you have knowledge about the U.S. government.
I've been there.
You've been to the U.S. government?
They detained me.
All right. Do you understand how cabinets work?
How do you understand? How cabinets work?
Yeah. Not like the ones you have over there, but
then
like
no.
the bureaucratic cabinets. You don't really need to know that. But which cabinet's headquarters is the only one not located in Washington, D.C.?
The Pentagon. God, that's not my answer. That is my answer. The Pentagon.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
You sick son of a...
Is that right?
The only reason you got that was because I said,
Is that right?
Yep.
I know it's the Pentagon. Do you know why I know it's the Pentagon,
Why?
Ben?
Why?
Because when I'm driving into D.C. And I see that stupid
Hey,
Air Force Memorial
watch it.
until I figured out what it was. When I was a kid, I thought it was just spikes, but it's the trails, contrails of the planes.
That would make sense.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite memorials now.
But the thing is, you called it stupid.
Well, because it's a story about progression, Ben. People grow. But the Pentagon isn't in D.C. It's on the other side.
No, it's in Arlington.
Yes, what I was... You stole all the thunder, Ben. But yeah, no, it is. Hey, I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, what do we do now?
Ask me another government question. What else you got?
Well, what do we do now? It's 1-1.
Well, do you want to... Let me think.
No, you're really bad at that. We can't just give each other off the spot
Where am
questions.
I? You know what? Yes, we can.
God, I've got.
Do you
one.
want to do a tiebreaker?
I've got one.
I
in my
got
head.
a tiebreaker.
It's not a good one, but go ahead.
Mine's good.
Go ahead.
I'm still.
Is it movie
I'm
trivia?
still loading it.
Go ahead.
Okay. In Legally Blonde 2.
Go, dude. Keep going. Not only is it not Legally Blonde 1, but it's the second
Well,
one.
the second one takes place in D.C. That was my question. We'll leave it at 1-1. I think it's fair that no one gets a point.
Well, can I ask you?
Because they're too valuable.
That's dumb. We
not
need to
dumb.
give the people what they want.
They want me to win. So thank you all so much for coming to this episode. We know it was a little long, but we had a lot to talk about. Playoffs are very exciting. We're looking forward to the second round. I'll be honest, I think I have it easier than you in the NHL. I think there's more clear-cut winners.
I agree.
In the NHL. I think Florida's clear-cut, and I think Dallas is clear-cut after that Winnipeg performance.
I'm glad to know that you think you have a much easier...
No, I'm willing to admit that. I'm also willing to admit the only reason why you're tied is because of a stupid question. And that you have no ball knowledge.
I have more knowledge than you, basically.
You have more human knowledge.
Is that not more valuable?
We make the same off this podcast. All right, thank you guys so much. Stay tuned for the next episode. It'll be coming out Tuesday as always. Really appreciate you guys checking in, and let us know who you think's going to win in the playoffs.
This is not the same as ending the episode with Bryce dying off of hot sauce, but, thanks for watching anyways.
Bye,
Have
folks.
a good one.